The sound of laughter stopped me cold in my own hallway. Not just any laughter, my husband's low chuckle mixing with a woman's breathless giggle, coming from our living room at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday when he told me he'd be at the construction site until 6. I'd only come home because I'd forgotten my portfolio for the afternoon client meeting. My hand gripped the doorframe as I peered around the corner, and the scene before me carved itself into my memory with surgical precision. Oliver on our designer sofa, the velvet one I'd saved 6 months to afford, with a blonde woman tucked against his side, her fingers tracing patterns on his chest. She wore one of those Instagram-perfect outfits that cost more than most people's weekly grocery budget. "This place is incredible," she sighed, her eyes roaming across my custom lighting fixtures, the hand-selected artwork, the carefully curated furniture arrangement that had transformed this dated inheritance into something magazine-worthy. "It's exactly what I've always dreamed of." Oliver's hand tightened around her waist. "It's all yours now, Veronica." She's finally agreed to leave. The word finally hit like a physical blow. My throat closed around a sound I refused to let escape. And she's really just taking her clothes. Veronica sat up, scanning the room with undisguised hunger. "All of this stays?" "Yeah," Oliver laughed. She was surprisingly reasonable about the whole thing. "Guess she knows when she's beat." I stepped into the doorway. They both froze. "Actually," I said, my voice steadier than I expected, "I'm taking all my personal belongings. My name is Natalie. I'm 29 and an interior designer. This is the story of how I redefined what personal belongings really means." 3 years earlier, I'd married Oliver believing we were building something together. He was 34, worked in construction management, and had inherited his grandparents' house shortly before we met. The property was structurally sound but frozen in time, all beige walls and scuffed laminate flooring from the 1980s. Oliver had furnished it with hand-me-downs from friends and whatever was on clearance at discount stores. I saw potential where others saw dated. With my design expertise and my savings, every dollar I'd earned from freelance projects and my salary at the design firm, I transformed that house into something special. Mid-century modern furniture that complemented the home's architectural bones. Statement lighting that drew the eye upward to the vaulted ceilings. Custom window treatments that framed the garden view like living artwork. I documented everything meticulously. Professional habit, mostly. But also because I'd learned early in our marriage that Oliver was careless with money. He'd blow his paycheck on new tools or expensive dinners with colleagues, then expect me to cover our mortgage when he came up short. That carelessness, I discovered, extended far beyond finances. The small things accumulated like dust in corners I couldn't quite reach. Dishes left in the sink despite our agreement to share household tasks. Complaints about meals I'd prepared after working 10-hour days. Dismissive comments about my obsession with how things looked, as if creating beauty was somehow shallow. I kept trying, convincing myself that marriage required compromise. What shattered that illusion was discovering his texts to Veronica 6 months ago. She was 25, a temporary employee in his office, with an Instagram feed full of aspirational home decor she couldn't afford on her salary. Their messages made painfully clear what had drawn her to my husband: access to the beautiful home she assumed he had created himself. "Oliver has such amazing taste," she'd written to a friend. "His wife just works all the time and doesn't even appreciate what he's built." I saved everything. Screenshots of messages, restaurant receipts, hotel bookings. Not for confrontation, for confirmation. I needed absolute certainty before I made my next move. When I finally contacted Veronica directly, suggesting we all meet to discuss the situation like adults, she seemed more excited than ashamed. She arrived at the house wearing that expensive dress, clearly purchased for the occasion, her eyes already claiming my space as her own. "I just want you to know," she began before even sitting down, leaning forward with practiced sympathy, "I never meant to hurt you. But when two people connect the way Oliver and I have..." "Let's just get this over with," I interrupted, sliding the divorce papers across the coffee table. "Oliver and I agreed before marriage, no division of property in case of divorce." Veronica's eyes went wide, then lit up with barely concealed triumph. She squeezed Oliver's hand. See? I told you she'd be reasonable. Oliver nodded, relief washing over his features. Natalie's always been practical. It's one of her better qualities. I watched Veronica stand and begin walking through my carefully curated rooms, trailing her fingers over surfaces, mentally erasing my presence and replacing it with her own vision. These light fixtures are stunning, she breathed. And this dining table, is it custom? It is, I said. Everything here was specifically chosen to complement the space. Perfect. She turned to Oliver with a brilliant smile. I wouldn't change a thing. You won't have to, Oliver assured her, then glanced at me. Natalie's just taking her clothes and personal stuff, right? I nodded slowly, seeing no reason to elaborate. The movers will be here at 9 a.m. tomorrow. That night, I stayed in the guest room, listening to them whisper and laugh in what had been my bedroom. She squeezed Oliver's hand. See? I told you she'd be reasonable. Oliver nodded, relief washing over his features. Natalie's always been practical. I didn't sleep. Instead, I reviewed my inventory lists one final time, cross-referencing receipts, making absolutely certain nothing had been overlooked. The movers arrived at precisely 9 a.m. 2 large trucks and 6 workers. I'd hired the premium company I often collaborated with for my high-end design clients, the ones who handled museum-quality pieces. Morning, Miss Patterson, the foreman said, consulting his tablet. We've got the inventory list you sent over. This is quite comprehensive. Oliver and Veronica emerged from the bedroom in matching robes, looking irritated by the commotion. Why are there 2 trucks? Veronica asked, frowning as workers began carefully removing the living room artwork. How many clothes does one person need? I didn't answer. I simply handed the foreman my tablet with the complete inventory displayed, then stepped back to watch. The crew worked with remarkable efficiency. Each piece of furniture wrapped in protective blankets, every light fixture detached with surgical care, even the custom window treatments removed from their rods. They moved like a choreographed performance I'd rehearsed in my mind 100 times. It took exactly 20 minutes for Oliver to understand what was happening. What the hell? He rushed toward the workers dismantling the sectional sofa. Stop. That's my couch. I handed him a folder, my movements calm and deliberate. Here are the receipts. Every piece of furniture, every appliance, every light fixture, and every decorative item was purchased by me with my money after we married. His face drained of color as he flipped through page after page of documentation. Credit card statements, store receipts, delivery confirmations, all bearing my name. You can't, we've been using these things for years. Usage doesn't transfer ownership, I said evenly. And we agreed in writing, no division of property. You keep what's yours. I keep what's mine. You're taking everything. Veronica's voice climbed toward hysteria. Not the house, I clarified. That belongs to Oliver. Just everything in it that I purchased. By noon, the living room stood empty except for the built-in shelves, bare wood echoing with absence. By 2 p.m., the kitchen contained nothing but cabinets and countertops, not even a coffee maker or dish towel. By 4 p.m., even the curtain rods had been removed, leaving windows naked to the afternoon sun. Oliver alternated between pleading and threatening. You'll regret this, he hissed while workers carefully packaged the surround sound system. I'll sue you for everything. On what grounds? I asked quietly. We agreed in writing, no division of property. You keep what's yours. I keep what's mine. As the workers loaded the final truck, a small panel van pulled up. 2 specialists in coveralls approached the house. Ms. Patterson? We are here for the wallpaper removal. Veronica, who'd been sitting on the floor since the dining chairs disappeared, looked up in horror. The wallpaper. Custom printed, I explained. Designed specifically for this house by a specialty firm. Cost nearly $8,000. My commission. You can't take the walls. Oliver shouted. Not the walls, I corrected. Just what's on them. Like you said, I'm taking all my personal belongings. I left them standing in an empty house with bare walls and exposed outlets where my designer sconces had hung. The place looked decades older than when I'd first seen it, all the floors now visible without my carefully placed distractions. Just a dated inheritance filled with nothing but regret. 2 weeks later, Oliver called. His voice had lost the confidence that had once attracted me. "Natalie, please," he began, and I heard something break in that please. "Veronica left. She said she couldn't live like this. I was hoping you might help." "Help with what?" I asked, though I knew exactly what he meant. He sighed, a sound of complete defeat. "With the house. With everything. I was wrong about us, about Veronica, about what you'd done here. I didn't realize how much work you'd put into making it beautiful." "And Veronica?" I prompted. She kept complaining. Nothing was good enough. The second-hand furniture I bought looked terrible. She said she didn't sign up to live in a dorm room. He paused. "She was right, in a way. Without everything you created, it's just an old house." "That sounds difficult," I said, feeling absolutely nothing. Would you consider coming back? Or at least helping me make this place livable again?" I thought about the furniture now arranged in my new apartment. I'd already sold most of it, too many memories attached to each carefully selected piece. The proceeds had funded a complete renovation of my new space with items that better reflected who I was becoming, not who I'd been. "I'm afraid that's not possible," I said. "But I wish you luck with your decorating." I ended the call before he could respond, then blocked his number. The divorce had been finalized a week earlier, officially ending our marriage. Some spaces, once emptied, should stay that way. The beauty was never in the furniture or the fixtures. It was in knowing exactly what I was worth, down to every last light bulb. And that's something I took with me that no moving truck could carry. If you've ever felt invisible in your own home, or watched someone else take credit for what you built, remember this: document everything, know your worth, and never confuse shared space with shared ownership. The difference between those things can fill, or empty, an entire house. Hit that like button if this resonated with you, and share your story in the comments if you've ever had to reclaim what was rightfully yours. Subscribe for more real stories about the moments that teach us exactly who we are and what we'll never settle for again.